Here are the 5 biggest mistakes I made when trying to lose weight. I have been overweight most of my entire life. It took me 30 years to finally figure out the secrets to eating the foods that I wanted to enjoy and having a fit body. So I wanted to share with you the top 5 mistakes I made when trying to lose weight in hopes it helps you learn from my mistakes to put you on the right track for success. 1. The biggest mistake of all was not eating enough. When I was younger, I went through some very drastic diets. Fruitarian, just a few carrots a day. It was borderline anorexia. And from that I learned that is not sustainable. That is doomed to fail, and it's only a matter of when, not if, you end up binging. Not eating enough calories is actually detrimental to your weight loss. And when I'm talking about weight loss, I'm talking about fat burn. Most people want to lose weight, not by losing muscle mass, but by losing fat mass. Drastically diminishing the amount of calories to very high caloric deficit levels, your body actually goes into starvation mode, and it prevents you from burning fat. Think about it. All throughout history, throughout evolution, your body's way of preparing for famine, it prepared itself by storing body fat. By lowering your calories too much and not eating enough, your body thinks it's in starvation mode and starts to really retain as much fat as possible for future famine. Your body can source energy from 2 macronutrients retained on your body. You have fat and protein. Your body can use the protein source, which is through your muscle mass, for energy before it switches onto fat mass. Because fat is the most efficient calorie and energy source. Because every gram of fat contains 7 calories per gram, whereas every gram of protein contains 4 calories per gram. And so I'd rather burn off the protein before it switches on to fat burning. It took me a lot to learn this, and this is very detrimental to many people because a lot of people are very extreme. They only feel like they're dieting or getting thinner when they're feeling hungry or they're, feeling weak, but that is not the case. You might look thinner, but it's only because 1, you might be dehydrated, and 2, you're losing muscle mass. Your muscle is a lot heavier than fat mass. So as your body is burning off muscle mass, you will start to look thinner, but it's gonna be a fluffy thin. That's what people call skinny fat. My second biggest mistake was being afraid of carbs. So I got into ketogenic diet way before it became popular. It made a lot of sense, especially with the success of the Atkins diet and low carbohydrate diets. And the fact that low carbohydrate ketogenic diets caused such a drastic weight loss in the beginning is what kept me motivated and kept me very brainwashed to think carbohydrates are bad. And that's just not the case. Your body needs carbohydrates. Your body needs a good balance of all macronutrients. Heavily restricting one huge portion of your daily balanced diet can cause a boom-bust cycle. It will cause you to mentally relate a certain food as evil, and it created this cycle where I restricted it so much, I slightly created a phobia of carbohydrates. As with anything, if you restrict it too much, you're gonna get to a point, especially if you want it, that you're gonna get to a point where you binge and you just let loose. And that causes even more mental health issues. That caused me to feel like a failure, like I was failing at a diet, failing at what I was trying to accomplish. And that's just not right. Why put yourself through so much damage mentally, physically, when you could just do it right? This caused me to my third biggest mistake, thinking that there are certain foods that are healthy and unhealthy. In my discovery, I've learned that there's no such thing as healthy versus unhealthy foods. There's such thing as healthy relations, healthy interactions with certain substances. And I use this metaphor when it comes to like a weapon. So you have a weapon, a gun, and it's just sitting on a table, just sitting there. It's nothing. It's just a piece of metal put together in a certain way to look a certain way, but it's just an object. It in itself is not dangerous, and it's not a weapon. That label is based on the way people use it. A hammer is a tool. Build a house with a hammer, you also use it as a weapon. So is it good or bad? Foods aren't good or bad. They're just food. They're just packaging of energy. It's an energy source for your body. And so there's more efficient sources of fuel, more nutritious, meaning having more nutrients and vitamins packed into a certain energy source, but there isn't a good or bad. And that is one of the biggest life-changing moments I had. When I learned to eat the foods that are traditionally labeled as unhealthy or bad and made them fit my goals and plans, brownies, pizzas, french fries, sweets, pastries, bread, and transform my body to being pudgy and overweight to a lean, fit physique. My fourth biggest mistake was not being realistic with my own desires, with what I wanted to eat, what I wanted to enjoy, what I wanted my life to look like. Because when you're thinking about life changes, creating new habits to lead to success for long term, if you want long-term success, you have to commit to life changes. Thinking that I wasn't going to eat bread ever again or any form of carbohydrate ever again is just unrealistic. So my fourth biggest mistake is not being realistic with my desires, being realistic with what I wanted and what I truly like, and putting myself through projects, putting myself through time-based tests where I'm gonna try not eating carbohydrates and then fail. I learned that in order to make lifelong changes, I had to make lifelong new habits and learn and educate myself and learn to make the right choices and relate the right choices, positive emotions. And that's the biggest thing. Knowing how to create those positive moments in your life, those positive relations in your mind to making the right choices. Number 5, biggest mistake of all was not knowing my plan. It's not having a plan and not knowing my plan and not even knowing how to create a plan. With anything, you have to have a plan for success. When you start a business, you have to start a business plan. If you try to go into business without a business plan, 80%, I don't know what the statistics are, but I'm gonna say 80 to 90% doomed to fail. A business plan is necessary in order to have organized strategy to execute on consistently that's going to lead to results over time. Same thing. My goal was to meet a certain body composition. In order for me to get to that goal, I had to accomplish a few things. I had to burn a certain amount of fat and gain a certain amount of muscle. And in order to do that, I had to increase the amount of muscle mass, which made me realize I have to make a plan to increase my muscle mass. And that plan includes a training routine and a nutrition plan. And then in order to also burn fat, I had to ensure that I was creating an environment in which my body wants to burn fat. So this allowed me to create a plan for success to meet those two goals at the same time. And it is possible. The main thing is knowing my plan. So the biggest thing I learned to do was to learn these 3 things: calories and how calories work, my total daily energy expenditure, how to increase the energy expenditure, and how to control my energy intake. 2, progressive overload. Understanding how to create the environment and training routine that stimulates muscle growth. And 3, ensuring I get enough protein even when in a caloric deficit to ensure that my body's using that protein to maintain and continue to stimulate muscle growth even when in a slight deficit. Now, in order to create a slight deficit, I had to know my energy expenditure so that the deficit isn't too much, which goes back to mistake number 1. We want to try to prevent that. In the end, it was all about knowing the plan, educating myself, knowing my plan, and executing on that plan. If you need help determining your plan, your goals, you can take advantage of my online coaching at danielnewthletics.com, and you can even hit me up on Instagram. That's the best place to message me. I post every day, all day. I love Instagram. I love being socially active. Subscribe, like, do all the things that YouTube people say. Wish you nothing but success and go get it. Cool.
Wait until I shut the door.